In this part, basically we created our application state. Now we have it tracking things like the number of moves and the time it took to beat the level. And we're going to be using that in this section to now actually store that in our save file. So let's get to work. So I'm going to exit the game. I'm going to actually just destroy our save file, which again is just like this one number, right? And then I'm going to go to our application state, which is our header file. And you can see we're kind of tracking just for one level right here. And we really shouldn't be doing that. So that takes us to what should we be doing? And I'm going to base it off of this structure right here, where basically we have a linear list, which lends itself to arrays. But what I'm going to do instead of using an array, which would be fixed size and would be more efficient, is we're going to use a vector. And that's because I like the idea of allowing people to actually take these right here and say, I want to add more. And if we made a fixed list size, then it wouldn't be able to handle an undetermined amount of levels. And we kind of want to make sure that if someone added levels, they could do it. So essentially, we're making our game slightly moddable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these two variables, because those are going to be the ones that we track while the player is playing. I'm going to get rid of this, which will cause a compilation error, I'm pretty sure, because we do use it. No, it doesn't. We don't use it at all. Okay. But what I'm going to add is I'm going to add a vector. I'm actually going to get rid of this real quick. Right. And let's do this. And I'm going to have a struct. And I'm going to name it level data. Right. And all that's going to be in level data is we're going to change size t moves equal to 0. And then we're going to have a double, which is seconds played, equal to 0 as well. So that's our level data. And that's all we're tracking. We could also have like a size t ID, right? And that would be totally valid to have. But instead what we're going to do, and honestly it would actually add some redundancies, which would make for an overall better save, but we're not going to do that because it's just extra data and we don't actually need it. So, and then what we're going to have is level data, okay? And the problem right here is this, and then I also removed the import, which was a little silly for Sokoban, but there it is. So these are our two. I'm going to change the ordering to like this. Okay, so what this is going to have is for every single level, it's going to have some kind of data, only if the player has played that level and beaten it. So until the player has beaten it, we won't actually have any data. So at the start, this is just going to be an empty vector. But once the player has played extra levels, then it will start to get bigger and bigger. So we're going to start basically with an empty save file. And we're never going to save anything until the player has actually beaten a level. So what I want to do is I actually want to update our save state and our reading in state with the application state constructor. So let's do that. And we're in here. And so obviously this right here is no longer going to work. But just so we're on the same page, what I want is like a vi save.txt, right? And I believe I have the order. Let's check what I had in the orders again. So it's going to be moves, which would be, let's say it took 10 moves to beat level 1. And let's say it took 1,000 seconds. We'll come back to that in a second, but you can see it's comma separated and there are two numbers. Cool. So let's go into here and let's actually start working with that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to drop this and just comment it out. Then I'm going to do while getLine, right? So now basically I'm reading the file line by line. And in our save.txt right now it only has one line. So basically what that means is that only the first level was beaten. So there's going to be just a 00.txt. I'm not actually going to read in any data right now because basically let me remove that. What I want is to be able to handle the case where the player hasn't played anything first. So in this case, there's going to be nothing to be done, right? So we're just going to read it in and nothing's actually going to be unlocked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of max level beaten because we don't need that anymore. There are going to be compiler errors, right? Because there's all these like max level beaten, max level beaten. So let's actually go and fix those. So in application state C++, we have our first instance. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to update our saving. So what I'll do is we can do level data, right, LD, and then we can level data. So what we're doing is we're looping through our level data and we're getting it. It will be ordered, so it'll go from the 0 index to the 1 index to the 2 index, which will match up with this, right? And then what we're going to output, out file, and then we'll do ld.moves, comma, separate the value, ld.seconds played. And then we'll end the line. So that's our saving, all working. The next thing to do is actually go to application. So the next thing we'll do is game C++, and there's a bunch of problems here. So we can see we have this end time, which we're no longer tracking, but we should be tracking. So let me do this double end time. And instead of max level beaten, right, we have our level data dot size. So if this is equal to -1, so if the selected index is equal to this, and what I'm thinking about is this is going to be 0 when it's at 0, 0, 1, and it's going to be 1 at that. So I think we can just keep it like this actually, but we'll come back to that. We don't need this. And then we'll do dot size, level data dot size. So that's going to fix that. There are problems, right, where we're not actually updating the data right now inside of the level data, so we have to come back to that. But let me go to level progression now and just get the compilation errors out. So we want these. So we're just fixing these compilers. And this is the last one. Level data dot size. So let's see if it makes. We're in business so far. So let's see, Sokoban. Can we play? We can't hit this, we can't hit this, we can't hit this, so that looks good to me. If we play, it's still working. And now when we do this, we should have some oddities where we have a save.txt file, but nothing was actually saved. So let's remove that again. And now let's actually get into the game C++ file. So basically what this is going to be is we're going to be actually updating the level data if the player won. And we're going to do it regardless of what happened here. So we have our end time and we also have our number of moves. So what we're going to do is we have our selected index, right? So if this is the case, we're going to add data, else player replaying level update moves and seconds played. So with that in mind, seconds played, right? And this should really be a const, by the way, so we can do that. And then what we can do, we'll do this one first, right? So it will be app state level data dot, and then we get app state dot selected index, right? So 0 will be 0, etc., etc. And then what we'll do is we'll do a reference to it. So basically, we're going to be able to just do like ld.moves is equal to std min, because we want the minimum. And it will be ld.moves. And the other one will be appstate.moves. Should be this. Sorry. and then we'll do LD. I'll come back to that error in just a second to see what's wrong. Actually, I'm a little curious. I think it's just like a missing import, but we'll figure that out in a second. So this is saying it's size t, and this is probably saying it's int. Yeah. So let's fix that. Sorry, that's a semicolon, which it shouldn't be. And that fixes that. That fixes that. ld.seconds played, and then it's app state. Oh no, it's just seconds played. Right, and there we go. So now we're updating it. So it's the minimum. We don't know actually if it's the minimum, but we do know it is the minimum. And then what we'll call regardless is we're just going to save regardless. So it could be that no changes were made and we're just wasting computation on this. And if this save process was actually like kind of like heavyweight, we would actually be concerned, and we could actually say only save if something changed here, and then we would always save here. But because we're not really concerned about that, we're just going to keep going. Now, in the other case, right, we have this instance where we know we need to push to the vector. Specifically, we need to push to the end of it. So what we can do is we can say app state dot level data, and we'll push back. There is some, like it may be better to do like in place back, but now what we'll do is we'll do moves is equal to app state moves. Pretty simple. And then we'll do dot seconds played is equal to app state dot, no, we don't actually do app state here. We just do seconds played. Okay, so that's looking good. So now what we'll do is we'll just see if it worked. So we'll make it. So far, so good. We'll play, we'll do a bunch of moves, and then we'll do that. And you can see level unlocking is still working. Let's see what happened here. Our log still looks good. It may be actually worthwhile, now that we're in here, to say, log info, and we'll have like a player level data, and then we'll do it like this, right? So, and then we'll do .cstir, boom. I'm really starting to think that our logging is a little cumbersome because we always have to do like STD format, and it's probably worthwhile to change it at some point. So let's do game moves equals this, right? And then what we'll put in is ld.move. Let me actually just keep the like this, and then we'll take that. Seconds played, right? And then we'll do like ld.seconds played. So we're keeping that, and otherwise we'll do log info, adding new level data to application state, let's just call it. And then we'll again do game, : and then the one thing that's missing there is we should really do it like this, and that looks a lot better. Okay, and then let's go to save.txt to see what we got. So you can see we have what looks like to be pretty low on the seconds count. So I'm starting to question that CPU time. So let's do rm save.txt, and let's just drop this clocks per second for a second and just see what it looks like. And so like 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. So we should see it like be less than like 5 seconds-ish is what I'm expecting here. So now if we go like save.txt, we got, yeah, so I'm a little confused by that. I'm pretty sure, like the moves looks right obviously, but this obviously looks a little bit weird. So let's see what's going on. So we're in here. F seconds. So this is right, I guess. we have the start time. Is it not supposed to be minus? It is supposed to be minus. End is the current clock, where end is just equal to clock. Clock t equals clock. You can even do it like that, right? App state.start time. Am I just not printing it out right? No, I'm using printf. Let's just look at it one more time. Then we can just see what's going on. Or we'll do cat it to see what is in the save.txt file. And you can see this is definitely wrong. I was definitely not this fast in beating it. But for right now, I'm actually not going to touch it. And we'll come back to it in the next video with the fix. And instead what I want to do is I actually just want to keep going with the save file stuff and just pushing through to get that finally fully implemented. So let's remove save.txt one more time. And let's go into application states ++. And we're actually just going to update this. So we're getting this, this line, right? And so basically what we have is we have this data where it's like moves and then seconds. It's not actually seconds right now, but it will be in a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to split it and do something like that. And there's a couple ways we can go about it where we could technically substring it. We could do like, one of the ways I know how you can do it is you can do string stream, comma, separated string, C++, right? And you can do it something like this. And where is it? They're going to show you right here. So get line, they're not even using a string. Yeah, so they make a string stream. And then that's, while it's good, they basically get the line and they just do it like that. Another way we can do it is we can do like, we already basically know how big it is, right? So since we know there are like 2 values, right, we can maybe be a little bit cleverer. And this is actually turning into kind of like a leak code kind of problem, which is kind of interesting because almost never do we see leak code problems when we're actually programming, but kind of interesting. So basically what we want to do is we want to find where the comma is in the string. So what we can do is we can do for size t, I equals 0, I less than data.length ++ I. And then what we can do is if data I equals, and I'm actually going to take this out. I'm going to take this whole thing out actually. Like this, equals this, break. So now we have like our 2 different values, right? Where we know that data in like Python terms, right? I minus 1 is moves, right? And then we knew data I plus 1, if I'm remembering to data dot size, right? Minus 1 is going to be the seconds played. So we know that. Let me do it like that. So now we have that, and what we're going to do is what we can do is we can call like a substring, and then we can do try std : exception e. So we're just going to catch a bunch of exceptions, and then we'll call to get it. Let's actually double check. So it's going to be like string to size t, C++, right? Super simple. How do we do it? It should be something like string to size t. They want string stream, which I do not like. C-stir, they scanf is one way to do it. Kind of interesting. Not what I would have expected, to be frank. But we can also just do like S2I, and that'll be fine too. So let's just do that. And what we're going to do is substir. So let's get C++ string substir, right? If I could type. And there it is, right? So we do data.subster, and let's see if it's inclusive or exclusive. So len, does it say inclusive? 3 to 5, so this is the length. So 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So it starts at 3, which is inclusive, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's exclusive. So let's try that out, where we'll go to just I minus 1, and I'm going to do comma index, so that's super clear, right? And then we'll do log error. Actually, let's make it fatal. Corrupted save file. Please remove and restart. Right, and we'll just do it like that, and then otherwise, so this will be std : size t moves. Actually, we can actually simplify this. So what we'll do is we'll have like level data ld, and then what we'll call it, starting back here, ld.moves is equal to that. We have an extra this, and then I lost the this, that. And I think the problem is that I lost data.substring. I hate the name data, so let's call it line. And then what we'll do is we'll copy this, do that, seconds played, and then it'll be like 2D, I think. And then it will be comma index +1. And then this is going to be to, this is going to be 2, like, because this is the length that we're looking for, right? Where's the, let me just double check it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So I believe that's the length. So let's just do line.length minus comma index and just see what we get. And then what we'll do is we'll do log info, and we're gonna just do std : format. I'm actually gonna do a debug here. Do I have a debug? I don't think I do. I want a debug. So let's go into log header file first. I want debug. Now we'll go into log C++. I'm just gonna copy paste this. Debug, right? Super simple. That makes me happy. So now we have our debug. We don't need format 2, right? And we can just do game : load moves, and we'll call it like that, right? And then what it'll take in is the, actually we'll just do it like this. Moves equals that, ld.moves, cstir, right? And we can do that. And then we can do seconds played, right? Super easy. Seconds played. So there's our debugging. And then what we can do is level, or we can do, just level data.pushback ld. And this is a copy. Bad. We can fix that at another point. Let's see if this works just in terms of compiling. So now if we do /Sokoban, play, I'm just going to do that real quick. And now if we go to save.txt, we have these. So now if I make it, I don't need to make it. That was silly. And I do it, you can see we got an error. which is totally fine. Fatal corrupted save file. So let's see where this happens. So it's in one of these. I'm going to put in real quick line index is equal to 0 just to see what's going on. Line index. And it was really on just like the first one, I think. Save file for moves. Let's just do this for seconds. Played. That'll give us a better idea. And let's debug e.what. Debug is useful there. Yeah, that's better. So now if we go to our log.txt, that is not helpful at all, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can see exactly what's going on in the debug. Oops. And then we can do like this. Format, right? Format. And then we can do this. And it can be like game, : and then we just give it, actually we don't even, let's not even bother with that. Let's just give it the substring, right? Because this is what we kind of want to see anyways. C-stir, right? And then what we can do again is right here, because I bet you this is another kind of problem, and we'll just take this, C-stir, there, looks good to me, we'll make it. We still have our error, unsurprisingly, but you can see we have this debug and there's nothing actually in here. So my bet is one more debug statement here. We'll do std : format. I don't know why I keep getting log debug, and we'll have like this, C-stir, there, and then we'll do just the comma index. That looks good to me. Yeah. I'm betting it's the -1 now that I'm looking at it, but let's just see it. I don't think I saved that, so let me remake that. Sokoban, we get our error. And then if we go to log.txt, you can see this is 1, the length is 0, it gets an error. Yeah, okay. So let's do that. Let's do that, because this is the length. Comma index +1, line.length minus that. Maybe -1. Just going to take a guess there. We'll see. We'll make it. Sokoban. We're still getting an error, but I bet it's going to be the next one. Corrupted save file for moves, log debug 6. Now, you see, that's interesting to me because this looks totally fine now. Oh, I didn't update that. Oops. So now we're actually in the game, which is pretty awesome. And I'm actually just gonna exit. Did I change something? No, I didn't. Let's go to say or log.txt, and you can see seconds played was exactly what we wanted. So that's working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into our save.txt file. I'm gonna make this like 100, because that's working. And I'm also gonna make this 10 seconds, but really it's a lot more because we know our seconds isn't right. So let me drop that, put this in here. I don't think I want this still, but that's it. And I think that's good. So let's make it. And basically we're just going to see if updating works, and then we're going to add a second one, and that will be the video. So we'll play. We're going to do 0, 0. So I did fewer moves in that one. Now let me play 0, 0, 1, beat that real quick, Q, Q, and now let's look at the save file. So you can see I beat it in 6 seconds, or 6 moves, and the time went drastically down. I beat it in 13 moves, and it drastically went down in terms of the time. And so yeah, our save file is currently working. Let's remake it, not remake it, sorry. Let's just rerun it. Then I'm just gonna queue, and let's look at our log file. And you can see we're loading stuff. It shouldn't actually say game now that I'm thinking, but you can see it's loading in everything correctly. So let me fix the debug info real quick. Where does it say game? So it should say app state, right? App state. And now that's correct. So now if I make it, and I actually check the log.txt one more time, you can see the app state load moves, load seconds played. And maybe it would be nice if we actually like said this is for level 0, this is for level 1, but personally, like it's kind of clear to me at least where like this first set of lines is always for level 0, this next set of lines is always for level 1, so on and so forth. But we can come back to it if we end up needing it. And let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this. Do I have line index anywhere? I'm going to check for compiler errors before I stop. Everything looks good to me. We have extra logging just in case anything's bad. This again isn't great, but we can always come back to it at another point. And yeah, I think that's going to be the video. In the next one, we'll actually get to changing it so that we display it. In terms of how we're going to display it, I haven't totally made up my mind, but I think maybe what you'll do is when you're hovering over a level you've beaten, we'll have something in this line. We'll probably push these down one line so we can have like a line in between. It'll be like moves, this, time, this. And then we'll actually show something, and then we'll actually put that there. I do think we'll also need to have some kind of like win-loss screen so you can see that you did a better job or a worse job. But that's going to be for down the line. At this point, we're definitely kind of hopefully starting to see that every decision we make can result in a lot of unforeseen consequences, where if I'd just been a little bit smarter early on and not been lazy with like my application state saving, we could have saved a decent chunk of time in terms of getting everything to work. But again, I think this whole series is really just ending up showing how much work goes into even a simple little projects. Like for example, if I just check how many lines for a simple Sokoban game with terminal graphics, we're at 964 lines of code. And by the end, I wouldn't be surprised if we're closer to like 2K, but we really won't know until we get there, because I still really want to do like an undo state, and I'm pretty sure we're going to implement our own linked list just to do it. So yeah, there's still a lot more to go, but we are definitely starting to approach the end of this Sokoban game, which is pretty exciting, because in the next one I really do think we'll be doing Brick Breaker and we'll be implementing our own physics engine, and yeah, it'll just be really fun. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, I'm sorry, but yeah, this has been really fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.